Keep going. Sopranos, tenors. We'll start our next exercise with do, do, re, mi, re, do, and so on. To help you out, I have a screen. You should be able to see my screen here with a do, re, mi chart on the side. Do, do, re, do. Ready? And go. Do, do, re, do. Do, re, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, so, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Trade them out for A-O-A-O-A. Ready? Here we go. And taller vowels. Taller. Make sure that your vowels are tall. Space between your teeth.
There we go.
Ready? And go. All right. It's all yours, Thomas.
Thomas.
There we go. All right, now on there.
Hello, Ellen.
Hi, dear.
At the top of your screen, it says a speaker view or a grid view. You can put it back to grid view for now until Thomas takes over.
So I'll just say while we wait for Thomas, that I heard from Claudia Broman on Saturday that Glenn passed away Saturday night. And
Oh,
our longtime choir president, longtime tenor, I believe. Bass, and just a wonderful person who ended his life in Arden Court, where he'd really suffered from a form of dementia of some sort. So I will send you her address. I will send you the obituary when I get it. Claudia's doing well, but she's not on the call tonight.
that's very sad to hear.
Glenn was had such a sense of humor when he was president. He was always making very subtle jokes, and yeah, for those of you who didn't know him, he was a real character.
He was that way as a teacher back when I was at Baldwin High School too. I knew him back in the late 60s. He was great.
Patricia. Yes.
Are you able to expedite this?
What are you trying to do? Sorry.
We're trying to put the men in a separate room.
Yes. We have
You-
the breakout rooms. Are you ready to do that now?
Yeah, we've been ready for about a minute or two.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. I just have a couple questions. If you bear with me, there are a couple people or a couple of devices joined.
Just name them.
iPhone again.
That's probably Eric.
Is that Eric? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that iPhone into the tenors and basses. Okay, that's really the only one. Give me one more second and we're good to go. And I will open the breakout rooms and you should all be in the right place.
There should just be one breakout room, correct?
Actually, it's 2 breakout rooms.
Okay, however.
Which room do you want to be in, Thomas?
I need to be in with the women.
Okay. That's where you're going to be. Okay, here we go.
Hello, breakout room.
Oh, poor Ellen. She's an honorary man tonight.
Let's see. So, Ellen, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you should see breakout rooms. And then you can exit. You can leave the room by clicking that. And Ben, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, it's all yours.
Great. Good to see you all, gentlemen. Thanks. I'm so glad you decided to do this and are interested in honing your skills. So how many we got here? About 27 of you. Nice. Good to see you. All right. So what, by the way, John Eric, you'll be interrupting then when we're done? Like, this is going to go about an hour, or we don't know yet?
No, I think you'll go till 8:30.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so I'll get a notification. I'll know when we're out of time.
Sure, I'll watch the clock for you.
Okay, and then you'll like cut our session then? Is that how that'll work?
I'll just let you know when time's running out.
Okay.
We'll,
All right, thank you.
we'll leave the room.
Yeah, right.
Sure. Like,
Yeah. Actually, I'll be in and out, Ben, so
right.
I'll come back from time to time.
okay, thanks so much.
Yep.
All right, guys. So great to see you all. I'm glad we're doing this because this has really been a long time coming. Actually, I think it was almost 2 years ago. Thomas had asked me to do. I think we just hadn't been able to fit the time in or anything, but it's great. So I know that the level, your level of reading skills is, because I know some of you, you know, I'm at least where you are at, so I know the level is it varies quite a bit. But you know, with the sight singing skill, we all know that being musically literate and having some ability to sing notes on the page at first sight just makes a world of difference when it comes to learning music quickly and of course leaving time in rehearsal for things other than pounding out notes. So you know, I'm glad that you want to work on that. Now, the fact that we can't actually sing together in real time because of the varying individual time delays on here, of course, does present a real challenge, but we'll see how this goes. I have some ideas. So just out of curiosity, how many of you signed up, are here to do this just because you consider yourself a beginner? I know some of you are probably a lot less confident in your skills and is actually maybe warranted, but certainly I know many of you are not are not really don't have the background in it, and it's totally okay. You know, that's one thing I would always say to anybody: never be ashamed if you just don't have the background. You know, if you're not a really proficient, strong reader, you know, sight singing skills take a long time. It takes a very long time to develop it up to a high level, at least. And people who don't have significant formal training or a music degree are just not very likely to have the occasion and time and energy to devote to developing that skill, or the guidance for that matter. So nobody can really expect you to sight read like a pro, even if you've been in choirs all your life, which I think probably all of you really have, right? But there's, most of the time in choirs we have time devoted to learning music and all kinds of other stuff that just doesn't leave a lot of rehearsal time to actually really work the technique. So that's what we're going to be getting into here. Now, like I said, I won't get into anything too advanced, at least for this time for tonight. I think it's just best to start very basic and then go from there, just to make sure that fill in any possible gaps, just to, and also reviewing what you already know, and being presented with it maybe in a different way than you have before is still beneficial, right? So let's take a look at some notation basics, just to really, like I said, start very, very basic here. Make sure I can share the page here. Hold on a second. All right. Okay, everybody see the screen? Shared? Good. All right. So here, just a couple basic things, just to lay it out for you. If you see down here on the bottom of the page, you see this kind of a map of basically the different time values. Those different characters have different amounts of time, right? And regardless of the meter, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well, this hierarchy holds no matter what the meter is, no matter which one of these note values is worth one beat. All right, no matter what it is, this is how it works, right? Whole note, to those equal to half notes, right? So we got all that. That's the basic. Just want to make sure everybody has seen that idea, right? You know what a whole note
Mike
looks
and
like.
Dan and Eric and iPhone and Albert. And
What's that?
Who's that?
Who?
There's a whole bunch of folks here. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, Shane, Earl,
Who are you
Matt.
looking at? Theo. Hey, Theo, I think
Everybody.
Are you supposed to be muted, or?
I can mute myself if.
Yeah, you should for now. Yeah, everybody should be muted right now because we're going to be doing some things that will require that. All right. Okay. So anyway, just some kind of basic things there, and of course there are the rests, right? The whole note, its equivalent in silence is the whole rest. Half note, its equivalent is half rest, quarter rest, eighth rest, and so forth. And of course, the time signature, we won't get too much into meter tonight, but I just kind of want to lay out the general rules just so everybody is aware of exactly how this works. You've all seen these things, right? And down here also, right, you've seen the C, which stands for common time, by the way. So-called, it means the same thing as 4/4 time, but we know 4/4 time is really the most common meter in most music that we generally come across. So that's why it's called that. But how the numbers actually work, you may not be entirely aware. So just to make sure everybody knows, the top number means how many beats are in a measure. And you know what a measure is, right? It's the space between the two bar lines, right? The bottom number is different though. The bottom number means what type of note is equal to one beat. So in the case of a 4 means it stands for quarter note. So there are 4 quarter notes. So this, of course, is then a full measure. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 beats, and each quarter note is worth 1 beat, right? And so down here, we'll see how you can count it out. In fact, I would really recommend, as a matter of fact, in rehearsals or when you're just working on your own or just trying to learn music on your own, I strongly recommend, especially if rhythm is not your strong suit, to actually write the numbers of the beats under every measure in your music, if you're able to do that. I would just really recommend that, just because to visually lay that out that way, it really reinforces that in your head when you're looking at any music. So I would strongly recommend doing that. So you would do it this way. You see where I'm looking at? Right here, on circle. So you can see my mouse, right? Everybody see? Okay, I thought so, just to be sure. All right. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 beats, of course. This common time means 4/4 time. That's a whole note. It's equal to 4 beats. And there they are, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next measure, we have half note, which is when any meter where the 4 is on the bottom is equal to 2 beats. So you have your 1, 2 right there, 3, and 4. Next measure, we have eighth notes. Of course, eighth notes are in this time signature are worth a half of a beat. So you have 1 and 2. And so when you were counting, when it's a half a beat, you say 1 and, right? And then of course the half note, the equivalent is the half rest, equal to 2 beats as well. So your 3 and 4 are silent, and so forth. So we all know, I think we're all clear on that stuff, but just in case anybody is not sure exactly how that works. And as I said, I would strongly recommend writing in the numbers of the beats right underneath every note in the measures when you're trying to learn music, or even in rehearsals for you, especially if the rhythms are kind of a little more advanced. When it comes to ties, when you have a tie like this little kind of look, it's actually the same mark as a slur. When you see slurs, that covers multiple notes at the same time, and that is an articulation marking. That generally means just sing through or perform the notes very smoothly and connected with no gaps or any breaths or anything like that. But in the case of a tie, which I said, it's the same marking, but when you see it like this, one note tied to another, just between 2 notes, that's a tie, and tie means that you don't re-articulate the next note. All right. So for example, in this, so we have your 4/4 time, right? First half note equal to 2 beats. Second half note equal to also 2 beats, beats 3 and 4 of that measure. And then, so here, I'll actually just clap the example. Why don't we just do that right now? So again, everybody make sure you're on mute. All right. And so again, this note here, this first note of the next measure will not be re-articulated. All right, so let's first do it without the tie, So actually do clap that beat. Okay, ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then rest, 3, 4. Okay, that's how it would be without the tie. Now let's put the tie in, and now let's do it with the tie. So that means you won't clap there. Okay, you were just counting. Ready again? And 1, 2, 3, 4, tie, 2, 3, 4. So okay, I know most of you are very well aware of that. I just want to make sure we're all clear. Now let's try it with an actual more involved rhythm. So on the bottom line here, you see this? So when you have dots, of course, dot adds half of a note value to itself. So in the case of a quarter note, of course, in common time, it is worth how many beats? 1, right? Add half of 1 is a half, right? So it's now 1.5 when you have the dot there. So how do you count that? You have 1, 2, and so you see, notice how the 1 and 2, the second beat comes actually before the next note. So in other words, this is 1, 2, and then the and of the 2 is where the next note, because that's 1.5 beats. Okay, so let's clap this rhythm now. Ready, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, you know this right here, the half note with the dot, that adds a half of, so the half note is worth 2 beats. You add half of 1, half of 2 is 1. So now we have 3 beats. So a dotted half note in this time signature is 3 beats. So, and there they are, 1, 2, and 3. All right, good. Just want to make sure, again, I don't want to bore too many of you, but I want to make sure that everybody's really clear on exactly how that functions. And so when you count, that you don't look at this 8th note, for example, and think that that's 2 or 3. All right, it's on an off beat. It's the and of the beat. It's actually not on the beat. So this rhythm is 1, 2, and 3, 4. And of course, with the tie, that means you don't re-articulate this note. We all clear on this so far? We're all good? Just to make sure, yeah, because that's important stuff. Because if you're missing anything on that kind of basic level, anything else could end up being a little more, a little confusing. All right, good. So moving on. Basic stuff. All right, rhythms. Let's spend some time practicing just rhythm without pitch, because, and that's really something that I also, another recommendation I would give you is that when you're learning music, especially if the rhythms are more than just really, really basic. It's a really good idea to actually count the rhythms out and don't worry about the notes. Don't worry about the pitches at first. Start with just the rhythms. That gives you the skeleton, right? I mean, because the rhythm is the time element of music, right? If you know when the changes, right, music happens on a linear scale. So things are happening from one moment to the next in time. Rhythm is how that unfolds through time, those changes in time. And so once you have that, then you really have the basic structure of how the music goes without the pitches. All right, so if you have rhythm, then you have a real good idea of what's going on. Who could ask for anything more? Sorry. I swear this pandemic has killed my sense of humor. Okay, so let's take a look at a sheet with rhythms exercise, just basic exercise, and let's count and clap them. Now, you don't have to actually clap, you can tap or whatever, and of course we're on mute, so we're doing this on our own, but I will clap for you so you can do it with me. So you have somebody to do it with. All right, share screen, hold on a second. All right, here it is. Now, let's do, again, just you have the numbers of the beats underneath, right? So and these are more basic rhythms. We'll progress and keep getting further and further along. But let's just start. Let's do number 1 first. It's a real easy one. All right, ready? And by the way, before you do anything, of course, we always look at what clef we're in. What I mean, that's for pitch, so don't worry about that now. But especially look at the meter. So we have your 4/4 time, common time. Okay. All right, so let's clap these rhythms. Ready? Number 1. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, somebody's not on mute. Somebody's unmuted. Make sure we're all muted. Double check. Okay. All right, let's start on this, the third measure. Third measure. Let's start right here. Ready? And 1 and 2, rest. 3 and 4, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're all clear? All right, going on to the next one. Let's do number 2. And by the way, looking ahead is always a good idea. I'll be talking more about that in a bit. But here, you notice that these are 8th notes alternating with 8th rests. So you have 1 and, since we're clapping and you can't actually have a duration of a note, then we don't have to worry about that. But in the second measure, it's different. Notice what happens. The actual on beat is a rest. And the notes, the rhythms are actually on the upbeats, on the ands. So just when we get there, make sure you're ready for it. All right, number 2, here we go. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So there's that. Let's take a look at number 4. Let's move that. Let's try this one. Ready? Number 4. Of course, the first beat is a rest. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Very good. All right. Let's try number 6. Right. By the way, is everybody? Hopefully, anybody can. Hopefully, it's blown up large enough that everybody can see. I think it should be. Okay. Number 6. Here we go. Ready? And 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4. All right. Good. So we got the basic rhythms here. Let's take a look at the next. So here we have rhythms that use ties, right? So remember, the tie means you don't re-articulate the note that it's tied to with the following note. All right, so let's try number 2 right here. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that you know how that works with the ties. Good. Let's try one with eighth notes now. Number 6, let's try this one here. Again, make sure that you don't re-articulate. So that first measure, okay, 1 and 2, 3, 4, right? So we know how that works. All right, number 6, everybody together, ready? And 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And of course, 4, you don't re-articulate because it's tied to it. Good. Okay, moving on. Let's try number 7. Here we go. Ready? And 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now let's take a look at number 9. This is a little different. In this case, we have syncopations. We all know what syncopation means. That means a temporary reversal of the strong and weak beats, or in some cases, the reversal of where in other words, the emphasis is on the and. All right, so here we have an 8th note. When an 8th note is by itself, it looks like this. Of course, when they're together, tied, they're beamed together with a beam like this, right? But when they're just one by itself, that's what it looks like. Same thing. 8th notes are an 8th note. And then in this case, we have a quarter note right after it, which means that that note comes on an and, right? And then because it starts on an offbeat, that means the following note after that also comes on an and, okay? So we have several of these in a row. All right, so let's try clapping number 9 with that in mind. And here's another tip, and I'll get back to this more later, but have your eye always, as a general rule, at least one note ahead of wherever you are singing, or in this case, clapping, okay? So really try to build that habit. I can't emphasize that enough. It really makes all the difference when you are at least one note ahead. All right, and of course, the longer the note value, the more time you have to look ahead, and you can look more than one note ahead, right? So for example, here we have 2 beats, right? The half note, well, actually 2.5 beats in this case, because it's tied. So that's plenty of time to look ahead at what's coming next. So when you're on this note, this is the 3rd beat here that we're looking at, you have 2 beats, 2.5 beats that is, to be looking here and noticing what's going on here. Noticing that this is a 1 and. So you're already aware of that before you get there. So let's try to focus on doing that. That's job number 1 in this case. So let's do number 9. And again, focusing on having your eye ahead by at least one note. All right, ready, and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. And of course, you don't re-articulate that last half note because it's tied. Good. It looks like you're. I can see you clapping and seeing. It looks like you're on the right track. Okay, getting there. All right, time. Okay, yeah, we got time. Let's take a look at number 10 now. Let's try number 10. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, or rests. Good. All right, let's try some dotted rhythms. So as I said before, the dot means when you have a dot after a note that adds half of its time to itself. So dotted quarter note is 1.5 beats. Dotted half note is 3 beats, and so forth. Okay, so let's take a look at let's start with number 2 here. Number 2. And again, the and then is where the next note will come because dotted half note is worth 1.5 beats. All right, number 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Good. Okay. Okay. The next, let's look at number 4 and 5. In this case, we have a different meter. All right. As I said before, we're not going to get into too many different meters for tonight. Next time, we'll be getting into that sort of thing. But let's take a look at number 4 here. So in this case, we have the time signature 3/4. 4 on the bottom, so that means we have the same regime of how many beats every note is worth, right? But in this case, the number on the top means how many beats are in the measure. So in this case, we have 3 beats instead of 4. And here they are, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's try this one, number 4. Ready, 2, and go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Know how that works, okay? All right, let's try number 6. We're back in 4/4 time. This combines dotted notes and ties. Here we go. Ready? Go. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Seems like we're all on the same page. Moving on to 16th notes. Now, 16th notes then, a 16th note is half of an 8th note. Right? Remember that hierarchy, that pyramid I showed you at the beginning there? So that means that in a time signature where 4 is on the bottom, that means that 16th notes are 1 beat. 4 of them is 1 beat. Now, when we're counting, we say 1 E and A. So the E and A is to designate, so that give you just a unit of just like 1 beat like that. All right. So we have 1 E and A, 2 E and A, and so forth. All right. So let's try number 1 here. See if we can do that. Ready? And 1 E and A, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 E and A, 4. 1 E and A, 2, 3 E and A, 4. Simple enough, right? Let's try number 2. Now, in this case, you see there's a little combination of, no, actually, no, let's move on. Let's do number 3. This one a little better. All right, number 3. So we have a couple 16th notes there. In this case, we have a dotted 8th note combining with that. All right, here we go. Number 3. Ready, go. 1 E and A, 2, 3, 4 E and A, 1, 2, and 3 E and A, 4. 1, 2, 3 E and A, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's try one in 3/4 time. New meter, 3/4. Here we go. This one, number 4. Ready, 2, 3. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3 E and A, 1, 2, and 3 E and A. All right, so I think we get the idea. Let's see, let's move on. No, this combines a few concepts here. Let's try number 10. Number 10. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2 E and A, 3, 4, and. Good. All right. Now we have 16ths and 8ths. So we did a little bit of that already, but now we're going to do 16th notes that are not all beamed together in 4s. All right. So let's try number 1 here, right at the top, number 1. So looking ahead, before we actually do this, look at what happens in this measure. So in this case, we have 1 E and rest, rest, E and A, right? So 1 E and 2 E and A. So make sure that those rests happen where they're supposed to. All right. Keep the. I don't think I'm getting the time, the speed. I'm not speeding up here, but let's try it just a couple clicks slower in this case. So, by the way, look at the time signature. You see that 2/4, right? So now we have 2 beats in every measure. And again, try this a little bit slower. Ready, and 1 E and A, 2 and 1 and 2 E and A, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 1 and 2 E and. Good. Let's try number 2. Ready, and 1 E and 2 E and A, 1 and 2 and 1, E, and 2, and 1, 2, E, and there you go. Now, in some cases, you can have notes that are tied together. So when you see a 2/16 notes like this, you see where I'm looking, that are tied together, then what note value is that now equal to? Can anybody tell me? Anyone? Bueller?
Eighth note.
Hey,
Eighth note, thank you. Good. Just want to make sure everybody's on task here. Good. All right, so now you'd have to just think of that. You have to visualize that in your head. You have to replace this visually with an eighth note. Same thing with this one, and this one. Okay? See if we can do that. Number 3. Again, slower tempo. Ready, and 1 E, and 2 E, and 3. Sorry, my bad. I'm thinking threes for some reason. Okay, let's try it again. Ready, and 1 E, and 2 E, and 1, and 2, and 1 E, and 2 E, and 1, and 2, and. Got the idea? Let's try another one. Number 4. Again, we have the same idea. Think of this as an eighth note. Okay, ready, and 1 E, and 2 E, and 1 E, and 2 E, and 1, 2, 1 E, and 2 E, and good. Number 5, let's try this one. Ready, and 1, and 2, and 3 E, and 1, and 2 E, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3 E, and good. One more of these. Let's take a look at number 6. Now, in this one, you see a new pattern. You see what happens on the second beat of this measure. See that? That is a syncopation, but in this case, it's actually a faster syncopation, so 16th 8. So this is da da da. All right, so 1 E ah. You would count that 1 E ah. All right, actually that's a misprint. That should be a 2 there. All right. Okay, so let's try. So again, you think of this. Try to visualize macro patterns. So you see when you see this, those 4 16th notes beamed together, you know that that's one beat. Right? When you see these, this syncopated rhythm pattern here, that's one beat. Right? And you can, in fact, one way you can do is think of this 8th note here as 2 16th notes. Right? Same thing over here. Okay, let's try number 6. 3/4 time. And remember, this is 2, not a 1. Ready, 2, 3. 1 E, and 2 E, 3. 1 E, 2 E, 3. 1 E, and 2 E, 3. 1 E, and 2 E, 3. Good. Finally, we have triplets. Let's just do one or two of these. We don't have to. We make sure we have enough time for learning, doing some ear training, some pitches. But basically, when you have a tuplet, that means a number that you're basically morphing subdivisions of a beat into a time value that it otherwise would not be. So in this case, we have triplet 8th notes. This one beat then is split up into 3 notes instead of 2. So ordinarily you would have 1, 2, and, right? But in this case, we have it into 3 equal time. And remember, on a tuplet, those notes are exactly equal. All right? So it's 1, 2, and So it's da, da, da. And those are equal. And that's one thing that you really should build the habit right from the start of being very persnickety about not letting these triplet rhythms sound like syncopations, right? We've all heard many people who do things like 1, 2, and right? Instead of 2 and they kind of do da, 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 almost like a syncopation. So in other words, they're making that second note longer than it should be, but it's not that. So make sure that those 3 notes are absolutely equal. 2, 3, just 3 tuplets. Okay, so let's try this number 1 here. Ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and. Good. All right, one more of these and then we'll have to move on. So let's take a look at number 3. So this combines the syncopations here and syncopate, you know, and that kind of, and upbeat entrances like that. So the real goal in this when we do this one here, number 3, the real goal is to make sure that these triplets here do not sound like this 16th, 8th syncopation. Clear? Make sure that this is 1 and, so that 1 and this is 3 and up. Okay? All right, make sure we're on mute. Make sure everybody's on mute. Okay. Number 3, here we go. Ready? And 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 E, 4 E, 1 and 2, 3, 4 and. Very good. Okay. Yeah, make sure everybody's muted. Make sure you're muted. Okay, so that's rhythms. So let's stop there. Let's we'll say,
on May it gathered there you have.
other people hearing that?
Patricia, you're not on mute.
Oh, that's right, because Patricia, I think it's coming through because she's the host.
Oh, I have to mute it.
Yep, because we're hearing the rehearsal.
Gotcha.
That's it.
I'll just leave.
And watch at bar 24 that you're going to want to change notes for the third beat, but you don't really. Yeah.
Still? Sorry.
Seconds change.
Yeah, we're still hearing it.
Let me mute myself.
There we go.
We're good now.
Okay. Okay, everybody, now let's take a look at pitch. So, of course, rhythm. Once we have rhythm, we have the basic how things run and move through time. Now we need to actually place a note somewhere. So we all know, I know most of you are familiar with solfege. We've actually have been doing that, I think, more as of late, thanks to John Eric, in rehearsals. So that I know we're all exposed to the idea. So the real idea of solfege, the real goal of it, is to make sure that in your mind's ear, you have a clear hierarchy of the steps of the scale. And in this case, of course, we're talking about the diatonic scale. Does everybody know that term, diatonic? Diatonic, 2 tones is basically what it means. It means a combination of half steps and whole steps, right? So a major and minor scale, which are by far the most common scales that we use and that we're familiar with in music, they are made up of half steps and whole steps, right? A whole step sounds like this. Hold on a second. Make sure my piano's working. There we go. All right. Everybody hear it? Right? So that's a whole step. Half step sounds like this. Even closer. So it's got a real bite to it. All right. That's when they're dissonant intervals. And when you put them in scale order, then you have a combination. So your major scale is all whole steps, then a half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then another half step, right? So that's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So the ti and do are, of course, the half step, and then the mi and fa are the other half step. Again, we're just going to focus on major scale today. Next time we'll do minor. All right, but today we'll just focus on major. So there's your major scale. Let's just sing again. Everybody on mute, singing it together, alone together, right? Major scale in the solfege. Starting on do. Ready? And do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All right. Downward, starting on the top do. Ready? Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. All right, so we've all been singing, gotten some experience doing that. Now, again, the whole point of the solfege system is to get us familiar with the different steps of the scale and how they relate to one another, right? The skill of relative pitch. When you hear the word relative, the term relative pitch, that's what it means. It means knowing how the notes relate to one another, being able to find notes using other notes as a reference point. That's what it means. Relative pitch is the skill that any musician really must have. It is absolutely essential, and it's no more essential for any musician than it is for singers, because it's all up here. We have to hear it internally. So we have to know those notes, those intervals and how they related. And the solfege is a good way to start with that. So let's practice finding different steps of the scale just from do. So everybody sing do, ready? Do. Now, actually, I wanted to try something. This may not work, but because this is something it doesn't have to be 100% like synchronized really exactly together in rhythm, we might, I think, be able to get away with doing this with you all unmuted. So let's just try, and if it's really that messy, then we'll go back on mute. But I just wanted, so this way I can actually hear you, how many of you, how quickly, how easily you're getting these notes, okay? So go ahead, unmute yourself, but again, make sure we're doing this as together as possible, all right? And then I'll give you a cue how to do this. All right, so be quiet until we're actually doing this. All right, so everybody sing do. Right? Do. Oh, your voices, it's great, even if it's not together. All right, good. All right, stop. Good. So there's do. Now sing me. Ready? Now there, I heard. I don't know. That may have been Thea. Somebody, whoever it was, that's a good idea. So that's called audiating. Now, so you actually did it out loud, but in your head, you should actually hear. If it doesn't come to you automatically, if you're really new to this, then you should actually hear in your head do, re, mi. You hear the re in between, right? Do, mi. If you can't find that right like that automatically, then you actually the only thing you can do is just think in your head do, re, silently, re in your head, mi, and that's how you get it. So somebody did that. I saw that. It was good. All right, let's try again. Let's try. So there's do. Everybody sing do again.
Do.
All right, stop. Good. Now sing sol. Hear it in your head and then sing it. Sol. Higher. Make sure it's in tune. Right. Really be persnickety. Be really picky about it. Make sure it's in tune. So there's your do. And then sol. Make sure it's on the high side. There you go. Good. All right. Stop. Hold on. All right. Let's try one that's takes a little more thinking. Now, so here's do. Now sing fa. And again, hear it first before you sing it. So here's do. In your mind, fa. Ready? Some of you are okay. We're a little off. This is good. This is actually working. It's good to hear you. So I know some feedback of where we are. Okay. So do. Now sing in your mind here. Don't sing it out loud. Sing it silently. Think in your head. Do, re, mi. Now sing fa. That's right. The notes in between. There it is. Good. So again, sing fa. Again, make sure it's in tune, right? Okay, stop. So there's do. Now sing T. And by the way, wait, don't say it out loud. Before you do that, you can sing it in either octave. You get a half step away, right? You can sing the lower T, just a half step from the low do, or you can think do, do, and then T below that. Either way is okay. All right, so hear it in your head first. Now sing it. T. That's an easy one. That's an easy one because it is just one, it's just a half step away, right? From do. Very good. All right, one more of these. Sing do. So there's do. Now sing. Now hold on a second. Before you do, we're gonna sing la. Now in this case, again, you have two options. You can go wait. Stay quiet here for a second. So do. You can go from the bottom, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, or you can go do, ti, la from the top. I would strongly recommend the latter just because it's only 2 notes away, right? So here's your do. Hear it in your mind. Hear it silently. Now sing la. Stop. Stop. Try it again. Hold on. Wait. There's your do. Hear it in your head. Sing la. Okay, stop. Okay, that's the idea. You're under pitch. You're kind of flat, but that's the idea. So you have the option. You can think do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, or you can think do, ti, la. Obviously, a lot easier that way. Okay. Now let's try. Okay, everybody on mute again. Everybody on mute. All right, that was actually good. That actually kind of worked. So I could at least get an idea of where you are on that. Good. All right, put yourself on mute again. Now we're going to just sing some arpeggios. Arpeggio, of course, means the individual notes one after in succession that make up a chord. Right. So in this case, we have the major triad. That's the word for those three notes that make up the major scale. Do, mi, sol. Right. So just sing that together. Ready? Do, mi, sol. Right. Okay. Oh, are we actually running out of time for the session? Okay. I tell you what. Let's. All right. We got 45 seconds to do this real quick. I am going to share a screen with you, and we're going to do just one. All right. We'll have to spend more time on this next time, but the solfege stuff is important. Let's take a look at this page here. We're going to do. Hopefully, we'll have enough time to finish it here. All right, here we go. See number one here on the top? Let's sing that. So that first note, there's do. Let's try it on solfege. Ready? Everybody muted? Mute it. Ready, go. Do, do, re, mi, mute. Mi, fa.
So she was here.
Okay.
If could just mark that she was here.
We're finished.
You done, Ben?
Yes, I took a little more time on the rhythm than I thought, but yeah, we're good. We got some things finished there.
Okay, so I don't see any guys. Are there all the guys here?
I'm not seeing everybody.
Most of us are here.
Page.
Okay, great. Good
the second page, yes.
Yeah, good to see you all. I hope you learned something, tenors and basses. I'll have you next week and we'll see. And sopranos and altos, you'll be with I can't remember what is on the schedule. Is that you next week, Ben, with the sopranos and altos?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you'll do some sight reading. There'll be more interaction. Sorry, we can't interact actually when we're singing like this, but you'll have plenty of one-on-one time there with Ben. Ha 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 ha.
Hey, Thomas, I heard it's
Yeah.
Mike Friedrich's birthday. Can we all unmute and have a happy birthday to Mike?
Sure, and I'll play here.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday, dear Michael.
Happy birthday, dear Michael.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
That is terrible, but anyway.
yourselves a baby. I love seeing you guys.
It's great to see you all too. So I'm going to duck out because I got to go to back to rehearsal. I'll see you next
Wendy
week.
says she checked you off as being here.
See you all next week.
All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
I'm sorry, there's too many things at once. Are you talking to me? Then could you wait a second?
Bye, everybody.